see you, hater. My motivator. Y'all make me greater.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Independently Speaking podcast. I'm your host, Coach Glenn Mayo. Exciting times going on right now. NBA just started back up. High school basketball is getting ready to start. College football, everything is starting to matter, right there with them. And then, of course, you're a few games away from having your World Series set in the Major League Baseball system. So, it's just a lot of exciting things going on. Today, October 20th, we've got a very special guest on, someone that, maybe has the best resume of anybody that we've ever had on the podcast, from, winning a state championship in high school in his local area of Augusta, Georgia, to going on to winning a national championship at UConn during their glory days. And then, he even came back and won a national championship as an assistant coach there as well. So much love and respect to our next guest. Let's bring him on, Coach Ricky Moore. Coach, thanks for being here with us. Take a minute, kind of, introduce yourself to those watching. And, like we said, we appreciate having you on. Much respect to you and everything that you've been able to kind of accomplish along the way. And, we're excited to kind of get you on today.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate you for having me on today. And for those that don't know me, I'm from Augusta, Georgia. I went to Westside High School. Played with and against some of top talent that probably has ever played the game. Very, very talented group. When I was coming through high school, played with William Avery, who went on to Duke and also got drafted by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Played against Vonteego Cummins, who played at Thompson High School in Thompson, Georgia. And Vonteego went to Pittsburgh, and then later got drafted by Golden State Warriors. So, I had the opportunity of going to the University of Connecticut, where, at the time, UConn was, a really, really good program. And, I got recruited all over the country. But, when I went on my visit, I just felt like this group of guys were really good, and also I got along with everyone, and we had a great opportunity to win, in which we did. Unfortunately, my freshman year at UConn, we came up a little short. I injured my shoulder. We had just beat Georgetown when they had a powerful group with Allen Iverson and Victor Page, and Othello Harrington. I can go down the list. They probably had 4 or 5 NBA guys on that team. And again, I injured my shoulder, so we came up a little short my freshman year. But over the next 3 years, my senior year, we were able to win a national championship when I was a co-captain on the team. And then I played in Europe for 11 years, off and on, and also in the minor leagues. And then eventually got into college coaching at Dartmouth College. And we spoke about earlier, when you start from the bottom. That was the bottom when we took over the program, and Paul Cormier was the coach at the time, and he was coming back and got things going again there at Dartmouth for a little bit. And then I had a great opportunity when Coach Calhoun retired to join the staff at UConn with Kevin Ollie. And, in Kevin's second year, we were able to win a national championship, beating Kentucky with a great coach in Coach Calipari. And, unfortunately, some things happened that I won't speak about on here, but, we were let go in 2018. And a few years after that, I ended up going to travel around to see different programs and their different coaches' philosophies, and meeting and networking with coaches. And then I think a lot of coaches, part of the reason I didn't have an opportunity, because at the time, from 2018, let's just say 2021, a lot of coaches didn't know what was going on with Kevin Ollie's situation. So fortunately, that situation is over. I'm hoping to, I'm waiting, and I'm actually reaching out for another opportunity possible to present itself. And would love to get back into college coaching. But for now, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I mean, it's something different. I work for a company called Biolog ID, which is out of France, started in France. We're expanding all throughout the world. I had an opportunity here in the U.S. to work with this company, and we deal with blood units and basically medical device sales. So it's been good. And then I coach at high school Northwest Cabarrus, and this is my second year, heading into my second year. Last year we went 12-10, and we made the playoffs. 3 years prior to that, they had won 3 games, I think it was, or maybe 5 games. So, wow. So I'm excited about the group that I have. I mean, these guys, I commend them every day. They really working hard, and now they're starting to understand what it takes, the hard work and dedication, what it takes to be a winner. So hopefully, we will avoid any injuries this year, and most importantly, we're going to work hard and have some fun.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's something unique that, and really it plays to your advantage, because it's tough getting kids to buy in and listen. But, I think one, ear grabber or attention catcher is you can really say, listen, where you're trying to go, I've been, you know what I mean? And I didn't do it riding the coattails of just being a coach. And we had, LeBron or whoever it may be. You did it as a player. Then you came back and did it as a coach. So I think that right there just can immediately grab their attention a little bit, you know what I mean, and get their focus, and definitely goes a long ways. And like you said, man, an incredible journey up to this point. I guess let's kind of start back at the beginning, if you will, all the way back to, the Augusta days. I know you mentioned Montego. Kind of talk to us a little bit about your time at Westside High School there in Augusta. I know you guys went on to win a state championship, and kind of had some unbelievable matchups with Thompson, I believe, back in the day with Montego and them. So kind of talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. When I came to Westside from Tut Middle School, the basketball, just the state it was in, was horrific. And, I was playing football at the time and just decided, I played JV football. And at the end of the season, I just decided that my brother played football at Clemson. My other brother played at Morehouse and Valdosta State. So I was, I just wanted a change, I would say. I probably had an opportunity maybe to get a scholarship football-wise, but I just felt basketball was my passion. So my freshman year, we ended up going 4-22. It was a rough season. I think halfway through the season, Coach Ken Wright and I sat down, and he just told me, this is going to be a tough season, but I want you to be super confident and, just go out and be aggressive, and you're going to make mistakes, but I'm giving you the basketball. So from that point on, I just decided this was what I was going to do, and this was what I was going to focus on. So the following year, my sophomore year, we went 25-3. We had some players that were returning, and then we had some new guys come in. I think a lot of that transition from my freshman year to my sophomore year with the success that I had, a lot had to do with Kerwin Buck Harris, who's now Jones County head coach, or his varsity head coach. He would come pick me up every morning at about 5:30, 5:45. We would go to the Y. We would do some strength shoe workouts with plyometrics and get up a lot of shots. And I would follow that routine after school with the plyometrics, and then we would have workouts, getting up shots as well. So I stayed on that regimen throughout high school and throughout college, not with really the strength shoe, but the shooting aspect of it. And, I think what he helped instill in me, that work ethic, that stayed with me and even to today. So, but again, my sophomore year, we went 25-3. Junior year, we went 26-3. And then my senior year, we were fortunate enough to win a state championship with Michael Cummins, William Mabry, of course, and then some other guys who were really good for it. Jacob Frazier, and I mean I can go on down the list, but that team was a very special team, and it just felt great to go from 4-22 to a team that finished my senior year 33-1, and
Mm-hmm.
strictly hard work. I mean, every day in practice was competitive. Thank God for having a rival like Vonteego Cummings, who pushed me, I would say, every day, because he was getting better every day, and I wanted to make sure I was being competitive and getting better every day. We played AAU together, and that's someone who always pushed me as well. So I was fortunate enough to have these people in my circle to have the career that I had.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that obviously, got a chance to play against, some high level players, all the way back into high school. So how did that kind of prepare you for your transition into, stepping into the national scene, UConn, where, I'm sure, like, if you go Google right now, you're going to see the passionate, energetic pictures, like kind of, the passion that you played with there. Kind of how did your upbringing and playing against talent like that, all 4 years kind of prepare you and, propel you into the spotlight?
Well, I think having those opportunities, like playing Thompson in the regionals at Augusta University, and when you have an atmosphere like that, it always brings the best out of you. So going into college, when the building sold out, I mean, I'm already used to that, so coming to my senior year, going to games, they would be sold out by the time the JV boys were playing. So so just having that atmosphere, it would always bring out the best in me and all in my teammates. And then with that work ethic, I mean, the sky was the limit. So once I got to UConn, it was secondary. I mean, playing with the likes of Ray Allen, Richard Hamilton, I mean, Khalid El-Amin, Jake Voskuhl, Friedman. You go down the list, and Travis Knight. I mean, I can go on and on with these NBA guys, but when you get into practice, I think a lot of times it's eye-opening them to them as well as teammates when they see someone come in and they're like, "Oh, this guy can really help us," So, so they embraced me, and we had a heck of a run. I think my record in college was 114-24. Wow. So not too many. I think we lost 2 home games, I want to say, my senior year, and that was it. We finished 32, I think, in 2. So but yeah, that's just that passion, like you said, and having that each and every day, I think, in practice. So, like, when you're in practice, it starts in practice. That's what I try to tell my guys. It starts in practice. Being competitive, not wanting to lose, make sure you're paying attention to detail. And, it's the small nuances of everything, So these guys, sometimes you have guys that don't want to listen. I worked at camp this weekend. I told them, hey, guys, if you don't want to listen to the coach, you might as well try to find something else you like doing, because it's not going to work that way. And,
right.
And I just, like I say, I just try to give these kids that information that I have, and hopefully it can help them in some type of way. But yeah, just that passion and grit. That's something that was instilled in me, a very long time ago.
Man, I hope these ADs and head coaches out there that are listening hear that, man. That 24 losses in college. I mean, with you said what? How many wins was the total?
114.
Wow.
Well, I don't like to brag. We've had a lot of NBA players, and I know former players want to slap me in the head, but nobody's ever put up that record, and some guys too early, so to credit to them. But my class is the winningest class in UConn basketball history.
Wow.
So it's a lot of hard work, with Roshmel Jones, Antry Kleber, these guys, they work. I mean, that was the only way. There was no other way. You had guys coming in each and every year and basically you had to adjust your roles too. I mean, that's the thing about winning. I averaged 25 points a game in high school.
Right.
My role was changed, because I wanted to win. And it's just how important. And some guys are going to say, no, I want to go to the NBA. Of course, everybody wants to go to the NBA, but it's just, you got to ask yourself how important is winning to you. So for me, that's at the top, on top of the mountain. That's it. I want to win. I put in I put that work in every day. So I expect to win. And sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes you're not going to get the shots you want. Sometimes you're not going to get the playing time you want. But if you're doing it for the greater good of the team, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So much. A lot of people don't understand, kind of how much sacrifice and how much, has to go your way for a group of individuals to come together as a team and actually, win something that's a team. And, I think that's what makes basketball so special is you do got your great athletes and you got, incredibly smart people, incredibly gifted people. But at the end of the day, it's still, you got to have to get everyone to buy into one. Like it's not going to be the best player that wins. It's going to be the best team. And that's kind of, stood the test of time as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I just want to speak on that, Glenn. So that's, like you said, it's so tough to win a championship because, you got guys that want to pat the stats. You got guys who, are going to be cancers. You got off the court distractions. You got social media now. It's just so many things and so many distractions. So you got to get your staff, and I'll say this again, you got to get winners, man. That's just what it's all about. Guys who've had this experience, who know what it takes. And if you're not, surrounding yourself with winners on your staff, then that AD needs to look in the mirror. That's, it is what it is.
Right. No, winning is priority.
And, a lot of politics, people want to hire their friends and, oh, I know this guy. And man, do you want to win?
Right.
So at the end of the day, and I understand sometimes you can't trust people.
Right.
But if you have a guy with a proven track record, then, I think that speaks louder.
Right. Exactly. It's, and that's, and obviously you've been at a higher level than I have, and you've seen it at different levels just from, my experiences to making it to a junior college head coach, man. It's so, like you said, political and different things kind of go into it. It's more about who you know to get a job rather than what you know might keep it. But, yeah, man, especially with the way the game's changing today and all the distractions, you got to find a way just to stay focused on winning, which ultimately is going to require some sacrifice as well. But, I saw you guys went on to, win the national championship there, like we talked about at UConn. And obviously we discussed how hard that is. Would you say, to this point, that's your, greatest accomplishment in life, or, where would you rank that, and kind of walk us through that season a little bit?
Well, I can't say that's greater than my 2 kids.
Right. Absolutely.
But yeah, it's one. I mean, with those national championships, I put that up there with winning the championship at Westside. That's one of the greatest things I've ever done. Also winning the championship in Austria when I played in the Austrian league. I was getting ready to retire. I decided to continue playing. My body was hurting by that time, but ended up winning the championship there. And in that city, nobody had won anything championship-wise in the past 60 years. So that was a great accomplishment for that city. They loved it. I mean, they were really appreciative of that. And of course, at UConn winning two national championships, one as a player and one as a coach. I mean, it doesn't get any better. I mean, with all the work you put into it, and all the time you spend with the coaches, and very, very late nights, and it's been times we work. You're working on 2 or 3 hours of sleep. Especially when you're at different tournaments. You're in Hawaii or Puerto Rico, and you have these tournaments now, I think in Charleston and these other places. I mean, when you have these tournaments, then you're trying to win games, you're doing scouts, and it's hardly any sleep. But yeah, of course, that those 2 championships are right up there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Man, that's exciting stuff. Just being a, basketball junkie, someone that, and especially for me, I was more of, I admired college basketball. Like that was my, like, people always ask me, what was your goals with coaching? I wanted to be, head Division I coach. I didn't really care for the NBA side of it. So, the one shining moments and all that are definitely, something that, I put a lot of value into. And so the fact that you were able to not only win one as a player and as a coach is definitely um, very, very, very cool. So I guess let's kind of get into, I know you mentioned some of your pro career there. And then I've got it, kind of mentioned there at the bottom that 2009 season where you got the finals MVP. I guess, I definitely want to hit on that some. Like I said, you don't just win championships by accident. They're not just handing them out. So I want to hear about that some. But then, as I was doing my research, I saw, I mean, you were in multiple countries. I think it was, for 9-10 years period of time. And I mean, I'm just like, I'm sure just the amount of culture that you were able to learn and different things. Kind of talk to our listeners about that, because some of our listeners are younger players that are, maybe not going to go to the NBA, but are going to have a professional career and experience that overseas lifestyle and kind of, what it took to get into that and kind of what it was like. I definitely want to touch on all that.
Oh yeah, I mean, playing in Europe is not easy. I mean, as these young kids, a change of scenery, change of culture. Um, some countries are a little bit easier to live in than others. I mean, just from the resources that they have. I'm gonna start from back. I played in Ukraine, and that was tough. I mean, that was tough. I really loved the basketball situation. I actually had a coach from Yugoslavia, and as most European players know, the Yugoslavian coaches are rough. They're tough. So, and that was great for me. Played in Austria, Sweden, Turkey, and Germany. And, from all my experiences, I took a little bit of something from each one of them. Just, in some of those countries, even my teammates didn't speak very good English, but, as a leader, you have to, make sure that you communicate at a high level. And I think most importantly, I was able to win over my teammates because I played so hard. And, they really respected that, every day in practice. They've seen guys come over that don't really go hard, don't want to practice. But, I had in my mind, I was looking at, I'm going to only be able to play basketball for so many years. So every opportunity that I have out on the court, I'm treating it as my last opportunity. And by the end of that, like you spoke on in 2009 in Austria, I was basically on my last leg on the end of my career. My body was, kind of breaking down, and knees were starting to hurt. And I was fortunate enough to win a championship there. And it's not a top league in Europe, but it was an opportunity to continue to play basketball. And we had some pretty good players. I mean, I know Oscar Marie, Rasheed Brookenborough, who went to Temple, and I mean, I can go down the list. We've had some really, really good basketball players in Austria when I played there, because I played there in 2 separate stints. So, but yeah, any championship, as you know, it's really hard to accomplish, winning a championship. And I mean, I can go back from any level. So to do it professionally, I was able to do it at every level. I was able to do it in high school, college, and professionally. So, I look back at my career. I often tell my kids that, you can't take anything for granted. You got to work. If you really want something, you got to work for it, and nobody's going to give you anything. So, but yeah, Europe was great. And I was able to travel and compete internationally. So, I mean, I had an opportunity to experience, different cultures there. I went to, all different types of countries in Europe. And even in college, I was able to go on a travel team to Europe. So I had that experience before I even started playing there. And then at UConn, we went to Israel and England right before we won a championship that summer. So yeah, man, I've been blessed, truly blessed, to have these opportunities coming from a small town, as you know, in Georgia. So I've had a tremendous career.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And honestly, I think you're one of the lucky ones that's going to get to have a playing career, and then now you're going to get to probably have a really long successful coaching career as well, like we had mentioned. And that kind of leads me like, what is obviously I know you're giving your all there right now to Cabreras, but what do you think you would say your long-term goals are right now with your coaching career? Do you see maybe professional, or are you more like wanting to get back into the college side and make an impact on young men going to school, or where do you really see your avenue being?
Wherever God leads me, so if it's in college, great. If it's an opportunity, G League, great. NBA, great. If it's here at Northwest, wonderful. Another high school, wonderful. So, I really try not to think, I take it day by day, do the best that I can, try to prepare myself and prepare the kids that I'm coaching, or prepare whoever I'm coaching. And then I just look at it like that. I don't really, of course I would love to coach at the highest level. I mean, that's, as a competitor, that's what you would love to do. But for now, this is where I am. So I'm taking it day by day. And I can say, this is my first time I'm a head coach. It's a lot of responsibility. This year I'll be coaching the varsity and the JV. So it's a lot of time, a lot of preparation, and but I'm learning a lot. When I worked in college, you often kind of see what the head coaches go through, but not until you're in that seat. And especially at this level, it's you don't have the resources that you have there. So tell me, man, you gotta do this, you gotta get back in and do that. And I talked to several coaches, but my main thing is with I've been like I said, been a part of championship as a player and a coach, and I'm not knocking anybody, but for me not to have an opportunity to in the business, and that, I mean, enough said. So I kind of leave it at that, and for me, I take it day by day, and any way that I can help these young men. I just this past weekend I was at an event at Phenom Hoops where it was the top 80 kids in North Carolina and top 40 freshmen, so to speak. So you're gonna have some disparity in there, but at the end of the day, if I can give these kids any information that I was given when I was growing up, and if they can use it in any way, I'm gonna do what I can. So so a lot of times when opportunities aren't there, I just try to find a way that I can help these kids, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
About to say, and you got you definitely got the knowledge, like you said, to pass on to people and stuff. Like you don't just even from doing it at the little old JUCO level, I can understand and appreciate you don't just win a national championship by accident, and it ain't by luck. It does require some luck to get there, of course, but it don't they're not just passing them things out like Tic Tacs. You got to. It takes a lot going in your favor, and like you said, to be able to do it as a player, to be able to do it as a coach. I mean, man.
So, but it's been fun, man. I enjoy it, and I definitely wouldn't change it for the world. Having the opportunity to interact with some of these kids and just to see how appreciative they are. I mean, yesterday we just had pickup, and the girls team was in there as well. So, so we kind of mixed the teams up. 2 or 3 girls here too, and so it was good. Just seeing these kids get in the gym and fall in love with basketball is really exciting for me.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And kind of looking at your hometown, where you're from, Augusta, they've got a tremendous amount of talent right now. I want to say I think it was 4 basketball state champions in that area, I believe, with Augusta Christian. West Side, Cross Creek, and then, or was that it? Or is there another one?
Grovetown.
Grovetown, and then Darren Douglas at Grovetown. I mean, those guys. Right
Oh,
now it's a hotbed. You know what I mean? Like, what would you, to like the Franquan Shermans or the Kalon Hudsons, Mari Tillmans, Antoine Lorix.
talent, a lot of talent. I told him, I know, and in the process, the reason that we're doing this in the process of, talking to Damien and you, I appreciate you guys for everything that you do and having this event. This will be the first event that we're doing this together. And man, like you said, it's loaded. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been talking to a few coaches trying to get them to come down, and hopefully they'll be able to have an opportunity to come down and see it. But speaking with several people, they're expecting it to sell out.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many seats we'll be able to save for the coaches.
I definitely know he was. I think Damien was trying to get a different venue for it as well, because we've had
Right.
So much push with the ticket sales, as I'm sure you've known. And
Yeah.
man, like that's gonna be super fun.
Yeah, it was such a last minute because I was all over. I'm doing so many things trying to help these kids, and then with work, and then my kids, and then I had been talking to Damien about doing something. We've been talking forever about doing something, so it finally came to fruition, and so I'm excited about this. And then next year, I plan on a few different things, and hopefully this will be. I would love for this to be a 2-day event next year,
Right.
and we'll see. Just see how things goes. But coming up in a few weeks, man, I tell you, this is going to be some exciting basketball. So,
oh, I'm definitely excited about this, and just as a basketball junkie, you're going to get to see so much great basketball. You're going, like you said, for a basketball fan, you're probably going to get to see several high major coaches come through the door to watch these guys. But I think this is this the first event that you're having kind of in your hometown with your name attached to it, and I think it's at Westside right now where you graduate. Like, what does that kind of mean to you, and kind of walk us through some of that, your feelings on that.
Well, that's a great question. So recently, we a few months ago, I was invited back to speak to the team for their ring ceremony because they won a state championship. So that was a pleasure. Coach Hunter invited me back. I really appreciate him. And I was able to talk to the team last year, leading up in the locker room, leading up until them winning the state championship. And they're talented group of kids. And every time I go back to Westside, it's just such a special place for me because, all the support that, that I had, not just from my family, from friends, from, people that not necessarily would even go to a high school basketball game started coming. So that, we were selling out, every game my senior year. So it was, it's a blessing always to get back. And they retired my jersey there and they just put it in the gym. They just put a picture from the 95 team up in the gym as well. So, yeah, it's an honor and pleasure. And this is my first tournament, of course, back at Westside. And that's why I told Damien, that's where I really wanted to start the first one. We can look for some venues after that, if we have some successes, I think we will, and look for a different venue. But this is really special to be going back to Westside. Now, I'm just hoping that it's going to get really, really loud during those games.
No, absolutely. And I'm sure like with some of the matchups that you guys got going down, I'm sure it will. I want to say it's Westside versus Grovetown, right?
Yeah, the last game at 30, yeah.
And that kind of, is going to be the hallmark of it. I know probably in that game there's at least, I would say 7 to 10 Division II to Division I college players, future college players in that game right there alone.
Absolutely. I'm just hoping. I remember this, and when I was in high school, I don't know if Will threw it or not, but they threw me a dunk once in high school, and they had, the fans ran onto the floor. So I'm just hoping that doesn't happen. And the reason that I'm saying that, it's going to be some phenomenal athletes. You talk about Ewing, and then the kids from Grovetown. It's going to be good.
Right, absolutely. Watching how Grovetown won their state championship last year, you know, with the Franquan Sherman kid getting the steal and the emphatic dunk at the end. And then obviously, you know, everyone saw, you know, Jalix Ewing break the internet last year, posting one of his friends over from Butler. So, I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, and then just good players, you know, the Markel Freemans and, you know, Kaylon Hudson's, Amari Tillman's, you know, those guys I was mentioned, you know, the young guys, Bobby Blackwell's, and, you know, and then, like you said, I think we got Augusta Christian in there as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I'm just excited. I'm excited for this opportunity to host this tournament. I appreciate all the coaches, all the schools and players that are involved in it. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to see a lot of family and friends down, and some of the former players that played with me are coming. So it should be really, really exciting.
Gotcha. And then I think I'll include it kind of at the end, but I think there's a link to purchase general admission tickets, and then I think they'll also have some gear and stuff there for sale.
Yes.
So it should be pretty good.
Yeah, should be awesome.
Awesome. With the transfer portal playing the role it has, you know, that's another, you know, question I had for you, that and kind of the NIL, how that's impacted recruitment for these young kids, because you see nowadays, like you said, you know, coaches feel the pressure to win now. If they're not winning now, they know, you know, they're getting fired. Even though a lot of times they're getting fired with 2 to 3 years on their contract left, so they're about to, you know, sit at home and get paid a couple million. But they, you know, there is that pressure to win now. And so a lot of times they're thinking, you know, why take a high school kid that hasn't been, you know, away from home, right, that hasn't, you know, went through the, you know, real deal weight cycle of, you know, weight training and plyometrics and stuff like that, as you mentioned, when you could, you know, get someone that's kind of been through it, you know, maybe even has stats that line up at their level. Because like you said, sometimes it's hard to, you know, see how stats are going to translate to the next level. You might have a guy that averaged 25 in high school, and, you know, they're just, you know, probably going to be a 10 to 12 point guy for you. And mainly because there's better pieces around them now than what they had in high school. And so sometimes that stuff gets kind of hard. You know, how do you think, you know, the transfer portal is affecting these kids that, you know, might have to go junior college, might have to go post-grad, might have to prep a year, might have to, you know, now there's all types of different options where people are going to G League, going to Overtime Elite with like, you know, former boss Kevin Ali. Just kind of give us your take on all that and how it's affecting the landscape.
Well, I've been out, you know, since 2018, so it's totally changed the landscape as far as NIL with recruiting, I think. Of course, you're going to stay on guys and recruit, but I mean, you thought it was bad before when you lose a guy at the last minute. Right now, you have no clue what his kid's going, you know, especially the highly ranked recruits. For the other guys that are coming out of high school, it's just tough. You know, if I'm a head coach and if there's a kid in high school averaging, to say, 16, 17 points a game, and then I look on a roster of a kid who's just say a sophomore or junior. He's been in college. He has that experience. He's only averaging, just say, 7 points, 8 points a game. But I know that he fits the mold of what we're trying to accomplish, and he's more ready right now. I'm going to take that kid all day. I mean, that's just the way it is, because of course I want to have time to develop that high school kid. But if I know that I got 2 years left or a year left on my contract, I gotta, you know, we have to be ready to win games ASAP, you know. So it's, you know, especially with that transfer, it's just changed the whole landscape of college basketball. And I feel bad for some coaches. I mean, not for all, but for some, for some, you know, you're at a college where it's going to take time to develop these kids, and as they're developing, you know, somebody at a high level, you know, snags the kid, or the kid wants to go to, think he's going to get, you know, more notoriety at another school. So,
right.
Exposure. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, me just looking at the situation and looking at schools. I mean, you can hardly keep up on where kids are going now, because they're here one year and then they're gone the next. So, But I mean, it's definitely catered to the player now.
Right.
And you know, we'll see how it all turns out. You know, we'll see how this NIL thing works. So.
No, it'll definitely be interesting, and a lot of it, like you said, is still getting figured out. You know, it's early, like we're getting to witness it firsthand. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no history books on it or roadmaps for it, and you know, like I feel bad for, you know, like the high school prospect that's a traditional, like maybe back in your times or even into the early 2000s and stuff, like a traditional Division II level talent.
Right.
Because if you're in that ballpark, you know, you're not getting the interest from Division Is. You know, a lot of times, especially until maybe late, you're not getting the interest from junior colleges because, you know, a lot of times they don't, you know, really recruit until the summer, or, you know, if they are taking someone, it's a transfer, or it's a, you know, kid that doesn't have the best grades. So you don't really fit in there. And then normally that's when, you know, the Division II schools would kind of come in and start recruiting you. But right now, with the way the transfer portal is going, it seems like every year there's more kids enter the portal than get taken out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if I'm a Division II coach, you know, I'm thinking between, you know, junior college kids, between post-grad, like really national known post-grad kids.
Right.
And, you know, between transfers, you can make your whole team. Why sign a Division II level talent when you could go get a Division I level talent out the portal, or get a Division I level talent from a JUCO that didn't graduate? He just got 48 hours. So man, it's tough, man. And I think it changes so much. You know, high majors, I think they're still high majors, you know what I mean? And I think, you know, they've been doing what they've been doing for, you know, they've got their game plan worked out. And I think maybe this only helps them. Maybe it takes a little bit of the, you know, pressures of, you know, having to go around or do whatever it may be. So, and then, you know, mid-major coaches, I kind of do feel, you know, rough for, or low major coaches, because, you know, it used to be where, you know, the only way you're going to get, you know, a kid talented enough to come in and play right away is if, you know, like kind of what happened with you in high school is they just turn it over to you. Hey, we're going to give you the ball. We're going to let you play, you know, 25, 30 minutes a game as a freshman. We're going to let you get, you know, 8 to 15 shots a game. You know, we're going to let you grow. Well, now if you do that, you know what I mean, and you're at North Texas, or you're at Stephen F. Austin, or you're at Coastal Carolina putting up 20 points a game, you ain't going to be there next year.
Exactly.
You're going to be in the ACC or the Big East.
Oh, yeah. And you're going to have tons of schools recruiting them. So that's just the way it is. I mean, we don't want to say that, but that's just the way it is. I mean, at the end of the day, and these kids, you know, if they're averaging that and then they start to feel like they're needed somewhere else, they're gone. You know, unless they have a really, really good relationship with that coach, and their parents are saying, you know, they understand, hey, son, I mean, you have this opportunity over here, but you got to look at who's there. Are you going to get the same number of shots? Are you going to develop at that same pace that you did? But see, those are all the questions that, you know, that a lot of parents don't even ask their kids. So because they don't really understand, you know, the way things work in college basketball.
And a lot of times it's equatable to like getting your first job. Like if you think back to your, you know, first coaching job or whatever, like you probably didn't go in there asking about the 401k plan or how much health insurance you got or this and that, like the stuff that actually matters. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But you were excited to have your opportunity, and I feel like that's what happens with a lot of you know, young athletes and, you know, parents too. You know, is they get a call from, you know, such and such at university of whoever, and, you know, they forget to, you know, think about, well, you know, how's the living situation, or how's the, you know, tutoring situation, or, you know, so, but that's all stuff you got to think about, because, you know, as you would know better than I have going through the process, like, you know, that's the stuff you're dealing with day to day.
Absolutely. The guy in that seat, I mean, it's a lot of hats that they have to wear. So it's just, it's a lot, especially now, like you said, with NIL, you transfer portal, you're just so much that you have to deal with. So you have to stay sane. Most
right.
You gotta, as a head coach, you gotta, number one, exercise.
Right.
Work
You gotta
on
be thinking clearly.
Yeah, you got to be thinking clearly. Work on your health first, and then you know, you got to have a strong rapport with your guys, and they have to trust you and know that you love them. So, but yeah, it's a different game, and I can't wait to see, you know, some of the games. I'm going to actually go to probably some college games. I just got to figure out where, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
No doubt, and that's what you know. And I could be wrong. Like I said, I just did it at a lower level, but I've always felt like, you know, the best, you know, coaches, you got to know your X's and O's. You got to get guys to believe in you and play hard. But a lot of times the best coaches, man, are those managers. You know, you can just manage people, manage situations, because it's never going to be perfect. You know what I mean? You're always going to have to deal with a lot of different dynamics, from personalities to, you know, roles and different things. And if you can just kind of manage egos, manage expectations, manage, you know, day to day, manage injuries, you know what I mean, manage the media, just if you like, you know, be a good manager.
I'll cut you off. Think about this. As a point guard, you're at a high major school. Everybody's trying to go to the NBA. Think about managing those guys.
Wow. And then you're with them 24/7. It ain't just like 2 hours of practice each day. You're with them 24/7.
Off the court, you gotta, you know, manage this guy not liking this guy, you know, and then so it's a lot underneath the surface, and that champions are built. That's just the way it is.
That's beautiful. That's what goes into, like, a lot of people don't like. That's the, you know, I guess you call it the intangibles of being a point guard. Man, that's special. That's good right there, Coach. I love that. Awesome. Well, you know, I know we're getting up here at about an hour, Coach, and I don't want to, you know, take up too much of your time, but, you know, we definitely appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you getting back in the community as well. I know, or even right now, you're living multiple hours away, and, you know, still doing your part to get back here and have an impact, not only in the students at Westside's life, but just in Augusta as a whole. Kind of just like how you did it as a player, you made an impact, you know, kind of on the whole city. So we definitely appreciate you taking the time. You know, we were honored to have you on, and, you know, look forward to following you the rest of the way.
I appreciate it, Glenn. Thanks for having me, and I'll see you soon.
Absolutely, brother. Take care.
All right, you too.
My motivator. Y'all make me greater.